Hey, Salvador Briggman here. Welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. On the show, we interview real-world entrepreneurs, people that are in the trenches right now, raising money when it comes to startups, Kickstarter, Indiegogo, crowdfunding campaigns. And I really started this podcast for you because I want to help you as you're going out there, you're kicking ass, you're taking names, you're plowing through obstacles, and you're working to get funding for a gadget or a gizmo. Could be a creative project, could be a new e-commerce product that you have going out there, or even something more, like a film project or something more theater related. I really started this podcast to help you through that process so you can be a fly on the wall and discover the secrets that go into these incredible 6 and 7 figure campaigns. When I first got started with this show, I never imagined I'd be at now I think more than 300 or 400, hundreds of episodes of case studies of individuals who've come on this podcast and shared with you exactly what they've done to get funding. So I commend you so much for showing up, whether you're listening in the car on the way to work, you're doing your chores, you're doing the dishes, you're listening to this podcast at the same time. I commend you so much for being willing to show up for your own success, being dedicated to that, listening to the right voices, and I think more importantly, being willing to take action, being willing to take some of the lessons that you're going to learn today, and specifically this episode, and go out there and really employ that. Because in today's episode, we spoke with a creator that raised over $161,875 on Kickstarter for more than 3,480 backers. This campaign was incredible. They had a $20,000 goal. They blew past that goal, and they end up raising $161,000 for a new product that they've come out with called Heat It Pro smartphone-powered insect bite relief. So you're going to hear more about that on today's podcast episode, and specifically what this entrepreneur or creator recommends for beginning creators, what you can do to get ranked on Kickstarter, how you can start getting funding quickly in the door, and I think most importantly, what goes into a smash success, what goes into a 6-figure campaign. How can you emulate this and really make this work as well in your favor? All the time, I have people writing in via my email. You go to my website, CrowdCrux, you can write in via my email. All the time, I have people saying, I don't know, Sal, can I launch this campaign if I'm in Europe? Can I launch this campaign if I'm in Australia? Can I launch this campaign if I'm only 18 years old or 85 years old? And what I've done with this podcast is I've given you so many examples of people from many walks of life who've never done a project before, and they share with you absolutely how they were able to crush it with their Kickstarter campaign. So go and look into the archives. But before we jump into this episode, if you do feel a little bit lost, you want some guidance, you really want to understand the step-by-step, what's happening behind the scenes with these projects, what goes into a 6 or 7-figure raise, I got an incredible free course out there for you, which you can go through. And will warm you up to not only how to rank well on Kickstarter, but also what the pros are doing behind the scenes that you don't know about when it comes to driving traffic, getting attention, having this be a big marketing event, all those kinds of elements we talk about in this free course at crowdcrux.com/Kickstarter. That link is crowdcrux.com/Kickstarter. Go to that link, crowdcrux.com/Kickstarter, and enroll in that free course and begin to upgrade your education. Thank you so much, man. Let's get into this episode and dive in and learn exactly how this entrepreneur was able to raise over $161,000 in a very short time span. It's coming up right after this. Hey guys, welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. Today we're speaking with a creator that's been able to attract over $117,000 for a campaign and over 2,500 backers. This is for Heat It Pro smartphone-powered insect bite relief. And we are lucky enough to have the creator here today on the show. Lukas, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here.
Definitely, man. Maybe we can get started by filling in some gaps in that introduction, and you can introduce your product to the audience and a bit about you.
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Lukas. I'm an engineer by training and became an entrepreneur 5 years ago with the simple idea of bringing insect bite relief to smartphones. So nowadays, you're used to solving all kinds of problems using your smartphone. And 5 years ago, or maybe a little earlier, I came across a working principle called hypothermia, in which you treat an insect bite using heat first I was extremely skeptical, thought it was scam. Then I tried it out and was extremely amazed by the results. And when I looked at the market, I saw a few products, battery-powered sticks, which basically heat up a small portion of your skin to around 124 degrees Fahrenheit to stop the itching and pain. At the same time, while being very fascinated by the principle, I didn't like the products because they were inconvenient to carry around. They didn't seem to make a lot of sense with the batteries and the form factor, etc. So I thought, why not combine that with a smartphone? And that was the initial idea of Heated.
Very cool. Very cool. I mean, a lot of people that have ideas don't take action on them. And I think that you were also willing to pursue that and, start your own company, it sounds like. Why decide to do your own thing? Is that a motivation of yours to start your own company, or how do you consider yourself to be?
Yeah, I don't have a business background. So initially I just thought it would be a fun project. So I gathered a few of my engineering colleagues and we played around a little bit with it. So we programmed an app, we developed prototypes. And then we realized, there's actually quite a big market. Like, why couldn't we sell 10,000 units, 100,000 units, or 1,000,000 units of such? And then even to engineers, it comes to mind that it could be quite a profitable business. So we then started, and it took us quite a while to get it certified as a medical device, to finalize the development and production, and then finally bringing it to market in 2020, the classic version of our Heated.
And at what point in time did you begin thinking about maybe doing a crowdfunding campaign for this? How did that conversation enter the picture?
It came up pretty early because you're like, I need some money and it's hardware. It seems to be difficult to bootstrap that completely. At the same time, you don't want to give away too much equity. And crowdfunding for real is the best test for any end consumer hardware product I can imagine, right? Very early in the process, you are forced to thinking about marketing, branding, pricing, how you approach customers. And you can really, in a sort of protected environment, test a variety of things before you actually go to market and thereby get the confidence for the crowdfunding. So our current Kickstarter campaign is our second campaign. We launched the Heated Classic in 2019 already on a crowdfunding campaign as well. But as you might have heard, I'm not a native English speaker. So we are from Germany. And at that point, it was only realistic to offer it to a German community because it is a medical device. We weren't sure about the certifications required for the US market. So we had some experience from that German crowdfunding campaign in 2019, and then realized for our new Heated Pro, Kickstarter would be the ideal platform. Now with a little bit different motivation compared to 2019, because in 2019 we had this classical story here. There's no existing company really, and we need the community to really fund the company as a whole. Now it was more about getting the new Pro edition up to speed.
What was your first campaign like in terms of results, and what was the response like in terms of your backers and your community?
If you take a look at it now, it is of course less professional, and we were also afraid a little bit at that point of bringing it to Kickstarter, because when you take a look at the start page of Kickstarter, you see great projects which are being funded with 6 figures, 7 figures, some even with 8-figure numbers, and you're like, okay, this is so highly professional, and the videos might have cost, I don't know, 50K or something to produce. And so the crowdfunding campaign back then was much more student-like crowdfunding campaign. So we just shot videos with our smartphones and then put it together and described, really motivated our friends and family. Now we were with the experience from the past years, we were more professional. At the same time, it was crucial for us to have a launch event. With this Kickstarter event, we were able to basically very focused prepare all the marketing materials for the launch of the new device, and also start the marketing activities.
So when it comes to that first project, what were the results like at the end of the day, and what was the response like in terms of people who tried out the product?
Sorry, I missed that part of your questions in the first place. We prepared for that campaign for probably 8 or 10 months, maybe. So we optimized perfect timing, when is the best like mosquito season, and we were able to convince 2,000 backers at that time, a total amount of around 80,000 US dollars. And
Awesome.
what was really different at that point was like with a successful campaign, we could really like kick off our company. And if that would have been a fail, it would have been very difficult, because we were already in conversation also with business angels to fund our company. Because
Hmm.
honestly, for even $80,000 sounds like a lot, but if you want to build up a production line for a hardware project, if you want to get certified as a medical device, that is far from being sufficient for doing all that. So in parallel, we had talks with business angels, and of course, they were very eagerly looking at this campaign to see, is there interest from the market? So we were very happy with the results. We prepared it very intensively, even though we were only students at that time. But we also got really good like press responses and great feedback from customers. So that
So
really
you were
kicked
able
off
to
our.
attract 2,000 people,
Yeah,
around 80K as students coming to
yeah.
market with a new invention on Kickstarter.
Yes, at that time it was Start Next, so not Kickstarter. And then it took us 9 months approximately to get the products into the hands of our customers. So in 2020 we launched the device, and up to this point, this is a very like good community of ours. So many of these backers are supporting the current Kickstarter campaign. Many of them are like very responsive on social media.
Hmm.
So if we like put up ads there and people are very critical about certain aspects of the product, some are responding, I'm using it since 2020 and it's a great product. So I wouldn't underestimate this effect of basically community building with Kickstarter, because I think you
Hmm.
can really like engage with your community a lot better than simply selling on Amazon. You really put some personality to the product.
So in thinking about this, Start Next is a German crowdfunding platform,
Yes,
correct?
exactly.
How would you say that the German audience is different from the audience, like the more international audience of Kickstarter? How would you say it's similar or different?
That's a great question, actually. I mean, honestly, Start Next has only a fraction of the community of Kickstarter. Kickstarter, I think, is a very international brand name, or almost identical to the concept of crowdfunding. At the same time, we were quite realistic that we wouldn't be the like have the most sophisticated campaign of all times. And we, apart from the fact that we couldn't deliver to US customers, where a big part of the like Kickstarter community is from, we preferred being like among the top projects on a smaller platform than being lost on this like big platform Kickstarter.
Hmm.
So for Germany, I think there is not that much like organic traction on the platform. So
Uh-huh.
we, most of the backers we basically brought there very proactively. So 8 9 months before the campaign started, we collected email addresses, we pitched at many events, we tried to be in the press as often as
Hmm.
possible, and these kind of things.
And thinking about this as well, I mean, you mentioned e-commerce, right? And like selling a product online.
Mhm.
Why do another campaign? Why not just go straight to the consumer? Is it the validation? Is it the story element or the building it with them? What really motivated you to launch this on Kickstarter?
Great question. It wasn't that we were planning that for like many months ahead. It was more or less a spontaneous idea of mine, because I thought we kind of need like, first we wanted to give back something to our community. So Kickstarter also offers the opportunity of like offering a discount without later, for example, retailer partners of ours being angry because we're like, okay, this product is a $60 product, but you're selling it for $40. How can that be? So if we're launching it on Amazon or on our web shop, that wouldn't work quite as well. So for Kickstarter, because it's like a pre-order or it's a pledge without guaranteed product, etc., it is easier,
It's
I think,
different.
to give.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is different, and you can have a good story. At the same time, now it's early in the season, so we wanted to create some sort of launch event. And honestly, we're not Apple, where people are interested in like what is the newest invention they are bringing out. So Kickstarter allowed us to kind of like artificially create a little bit of an event, and not only like for the community and for our customers, but also internally.
Yeah.
I had hoped for that, and it really played out true. It's like it's almost an artificial deadline, but at the same time, it helps so much in like bringing focus to the research and development of the product, to the marketing, to the fulfillment, like all different parts involved. It's just like when people know, okay, the campaign is launching mid-March, we need to be ready by that. We need to have the packaging available. We need to start production then.
Uniting the team. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. And so that were basically the main reasons for going to Kickstarter and not to e-commerce directly.
If you're worried about the fulfillment and shipping part of your Kickstarter campaign when it comes to getting out all those perks and rewards to your backers, rest assured I've put together a complete Kickstarter fulfillment and shipping checklist for you, and it's free. This is sponsored by the folks at Fulfillrite, and they thought that you should have this checklist as part of your arsenal going into a crowdfunding campaign. If you want to get instant access to this checklist and it's free, you can go to fulfillrite.com/checklist. Again, that is fulfillrite.com/checklist, fulfillrite.com/checklist. Just go to that link and you can download it immediately. So I do have one or two tactical questions, but I did want to ask something. I think this is actually really important. When it comes to coming together with a new product or launching a business, a lot of people are very conservative. A lot of people don't want to, have many risks and are scared to get something out there. Why do you feel like you are different in the way that you've leaned into risk taking? You've been able to actually execute on this, get something out there. Why do you feel like you're different in bringing your ideas to the world when others struggle to do so?
I think like being an engineer and being a founder's team of 4 engineers, we have a good like hands-on mentality. So everything seems kind of solvable. Some things are more complicated than expected. Others are less complicated, but everything is solvable. And it's just a great challenge and very like playful experience to bring a hardware product to the market. At the same time, I think at least as important was also us being students. So we had very, very low cost of living. We could focus very well. And at the same time, we're a little bit naive. So I guess if we would have worked for 10 years in a medical device company beforehand, we were like, okay, it's impossible to bring that device with a new company to market as a medical device, given that there's like clinical evaluation, building a quality management system, or building a production line that is certified, etc., all involved. And we were naive enough to just like go out and start it and then go step by step, and it worked out well. But at the same time, it wasn't easy. And I guess there is plenty of...
In some ways, ignorance is bliss. Yeah.
Yeah. For sure. So I guess
I do think you also said something really important there, which is that you view everything as a problem to be solved, right? So whether that's the engineering or figuring out the Kickstarter part or how to get attention, it sounds like you kind of view it through that paradigm, right?
Yeah, and then just go step by step. So don't like think that it's like crucial to have the best video in the world or the highest funded project in the world, or just go step by step. And there's critics and there's like people patting on your back. So take the critics, but also enjoy the positive things side of things.
If you were to talk to another engineer in the audience who maybe has been working on a product and they want to bring this to the world, they want to get funding, or they want to put this on Kickstarter, what advice would you give them, or what would you wish you had known going into the process? Is there anything that you would share with them?
Yeah, don't underestimate the process from a nicely looking and well-working prototype to like robustly working mass manufacturing. So that was really a challenge. We decided to do it internally. So we have built our own production line here in Germany. So all the devices are manufactured in Germany, and still it requires plenty of suppliers on being involved. Most other products are being manufactured outside. I think there's like great manufacturers all around the world, most of them being in China. But for us, the risk was considered to be too high, because if we bet on the wrong one, it could be a real failure.
Disastrous.
Yeah. And we really benefited from that, right? Honestly, I think most products will have some problems when you ramp up production. So we always learned a lot from like going from 10 prototypes to 100 prototypes to the first 1,000 products, 10,000 products to 100,000 products. You learn so much, and there's things you would consider to be no problem at all that turn out to be really, really challenging, and others are just no problem at all. So don't overthink it too much too early. And I think in like software development, there is this concept of like premature like optimization. And I think the same is true for hardware. So if you decide on that the product has to be this form factor, or has to be, I don't know, a metal housing or something, it can really be hindering your process, because suddenly you realize,
to be flexible.
Suddenly you realize, okay, the whole production line is just working if the product is made out of metal, but it turns out some polymer is much better suited, things like that. So go step by step. And
the other question I had for you on that point, so this sounds like when it comes to the production, right, being aware when you're scaling, to be cognizant of the problems and solving them. When it comes to the marketing side of the equation, what do you feel like worked really well for you to get this funded, and also to get people checking it out? Is there anything you learned on the marketing side that you would pass over?
One thing that surprised us is I think Americans in general are more skeptical regarding the working principle of our product. So the challenge is very different convincing German customers, who oftentimes know the general principle of treating insect bites with heat already from years of experience with other devices, from their grandmas telling them that it's a good concept. Whereas in America, we start basically from scratch, convincing them that this kind of treatment works well. People start to understand it. We are, for example, also available at Ray Co-ops, so in like big outdoor retail. But it does take a little bit of time and totally different approach in marketing. Whereas in Germany, it's like, okay, now it's like smartphone connected and super small and everywhere available where you go. In the US, it's more about, about heat. So the challenge is very different. And the marketing campaigns are a lot more profitable at this point in Germany. But we are getting there in the US as well. I'm very excited for the upcoming year.
So it sounds like in the US, people are not aware of the solution, right? Versus in Germany, they are aware, and you just have a better solution than anything that's out there.
And that makes a big difference. And it's also interesting to see, because the whole strategy is very different. Where it's in the US, it's mainly about education, about the solution, and we are basically, with our competitors, we're like more or less all like working on the same goal. Whereas in Germany, it's of course convincing the customer that our solution is better than the others.
Understood. Well, you've gotten to a major milestone regardless, and you've outperformed your prior campaign. What has been the most rewarding part of the process so far?
I guess the many like positive reviews and feedback from the customers. So really seeing that they can't wait to get this new product into their hands, and this makes me really optimistic for the season in the US, because honestly, that we are selling any product this early in the year is kind of amazing, because there's not many mosquitoes out there if you're not based in Florida, maybe. So this is really a good start into the season, and I can't wait to really ramp up our advertisement in May, June, July, where we see like highest sales.
Yeah, especially with camping. I mean, camping is a huge market, and in Florida as well. That's a great market for you when it comes to this. I just have one or two more questions for you, but where can people go to learn more about your project? Where can they go to learn more about your campaign?
I'd recommend you go to heat-it.com. This is our website, and you can learn a lot about our products, about our company, our startup story, and also you'll find the link to our Kickstarter campaign, or you go directly to kickstarter.com and search for Heat It Pro.
So one of the questions I've been getting recently, and I'll make sure to show that link that up in the show notes. One of the questions I've been getting recently is, hey, Sal, there's so many different platforms out there. There's TikTok, there's Instagram, there's Facebook, right? There's Snapchat, email marketing. What do you feel like has been the most valuable marketing channel for you when it came to launching this project?
Looking back at the very start of our company, it was for sure the best reward was on PR, right? Building a story around a product which is innovative at the same time people like understand it quite easily, and most people are kind of affected by the problem. PR has really played a major role in the development of our company. For the current, in Germany mainly.
Mm-hmm. And just to highlight as well, you've gotten on the Huffington Post, USA Today, Women's Health, The Verge. You've gotten on a ton of different media publications.
Yeah, and honestly, I think it's not because it's like the greatest technology of all time, but it's so useful. It's such a like innovative small idea that you plug something into your smartphone that basically makes your smartphone, turns it into like a magical device to stop the itching of an insect bite. So that is what journalists like and what influencers like to talk about, and that has helped us a lot.
When it comes to that process, is it mainly reaching out? Is it people that are reaching out to you? Is there any way that people can engage journalists in the way that you have when it comes to PR?
Yeah, I think it is really starting low, right? So the first articles that came out were basically published by our own technical university, and then the local newspaper and the local TV picked it up, and from there we got national attention. And the same was oftentimes true in the United States. So of course we've done our like cold outreach, and we thought, hey, this journalist or this format or show could be ideal, and that has very, very bad conversion rates. So even though you think it's ideal, it's of course much better if they somehow hear about it without you being the one like pitching it, and then on the website or wherever you are, you offer easy ways to contact you. For us, it has always proven to be very good to send out samples, and for a like $40 product, you can afford sending out 20 or 50 samples, and then if a few of these convert into like really good articles or TV appearances, that pays off, of course. Very
got it. Yeah, really, really good tips, and appreciate you sharing that and being very transparent. My final question for you kind of comes back to earlier in the interview, and what you mentioned was that not only do you have this problem-solving mindset, but you also have other people you're working with who share that mindset. Do you have any thoughts on how to surround yourself with the right people and to really build a strong network that enables you to then catapult and be more successful with coming out with a product, getting funding, or even in your own life? Do you have any thoughts on how to surround yourself with the right people and how to go about doing that networking?
Yeah, that's a good question as well. It's funny because we were all mechanical engineers. We studied together. We met each other at Purdue in the United States during an exchange program. So we were far away from that like ideal founding team with different backgrounds, etc. But over the years, I've come to realize that it's not so much about like different qualifications, but more about like different characteristics, like different character. So the engineering background is a very like solid foundation also for our everyday discussions. So we're kind of discussing on the same level or approaching problems in a similar way. And at the same time, the characters of our founding team are quite different. So there's people who always start new things, to come in, bring in new ideas. And then there's other people who are better in filtering and prioritization of these like tasks and projects, and also bringing them over the finish line. So I do think within the team, you need people for the first 80%, which take only 20% of the time. And you need people for the last 20% to really bring a like high quality product to market, to really be tedious regarding the KPIs of your marketing campaigns and all these things. So I wouldn't focus too much on like past experience and formal qualification, but more on like types of people coming together. And I think it can be very helpful if you have a common ground on which you argue and the way you see problems.
Well said, well said. And the other thing I took away from that is just being open-minded with the people that are around you, right? Whether you're at school or you're in the workplace or just diving into your interests and your hobbies and being open-minded, it sounds like can help make some of those connections.
Especially in a position like mine, it's also very important to network, to keep the eyes open, to see opportunities. We have like for cooperations, for marketing, for things like Kickstarter and the like. So this is the fun part of it, at least for me, and I think it is also part of our success.
Well said, well said. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and I'll be sure to link this up in the show notes. I know you have about 9 days to go at the time of recording this, so I'll make sure to link that up. But thank you so much for coming on the show, being transparent, being honest, helping out other people, and also inventing a really cool product that I think is going to help a lot of people, especially as we're getting into the summer months.
Thanks so much. It's been a pleasure being on your show. And we've benefited a lot from transparent feedback from others. So I hope it helps.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. My name is Salvador Briggman, and all the time I have people write in saying, Sal, I've been thinking about doing this for a year now or a couple of years. I've been having this idea happen in my head. I had never really just haven't taken action. I think that today's episode was a great example of not only how anyone can go out there, smash their goal, blow past their numbers, and be able to hit it big with a Kickstarter campaign, but also these guys were able to do this in a matter of 25 days. Think about that. 25 days from now, your life could be completely different. You could have a fully funded Kickstarter campaign. You could have an audience of backers or people who are excited about supporting your brand and your products going forward. And most importantly, I would say, you now have a success under your belt, which you can use to grow your brand from scratch, get this sucker out there, and really dominate the e-commerce game. Or if you're looking to come out with a new invention, you now have a systematic way that you can actually go to the crowd and get funding for that product, invention, project, idea, right? Whatever it is, you can use this for validation, funding, and also to get an audience. And at the same time, I do know there are lots of obstacles in the way. And again, that's why I started this show back in 2015, was to share with you how other people are tackling and moving through those obstacles. So I do invite you to not only subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, give me a thumbs up on YouTube, leave a positive review on iTunes if you can. I not only invite you to do that and to really learn from some of these mentors that I brought on for you as a fly on the wall, but also if you really just want to skip to the finish line. Sometimes you see a really long line, like, I don't know, if you're going and you're trying to buy something at the mall and there's a really long line, you're like, gosh, I don't want to wait for this. Or trying to go and see one of your favorite concert artists, and there's a massive line to just be able to get into that concert. You're like, I don't want to wait for this huge line. If you want to skip to the finish and really just experience the results as quickly as possible when it comes to launching a new crowdfunding campaign, doing it right, getting the foundation strong before you go live, and as well the best practices, tactics, and strategies specific for your unique situation and also your unique product, I urge you to book an individual one-on-one coaching call with me. Not only will we go through in this intensive coaching call everything when it comes to your strategy, what you got to do going forward, and also introduce you some of the tools and resources you probably don't know about, but we will also go into feedback on your marketing items, anything that you've been working on thus far, really paint a vision for the future in a step-by-step strategic and tactical way. And most importantly, I would say give you some of that knowledge that maybe you've been missing in terms of some of the gaps in this massive puzzle which you're trying to assemble, which is the crowdfunding puzzle, right? If you really want to demystify this, go and book your individual coaching call right now at the link crowdcrux.com/coaching. That link is crowdcrux.com/coaching, crowdcrux.com/coaching will take you there. And in addition, I do work on a selective basis with some projects to help them get launched. It is definitely not a guarantee. but that is something, if you have a really unique project or a big audience, that we can always talk about at the end of the call. And we also have many other options when it comes to long-term coaching. And I've been really growing the coaching program as well to help even more students go through the process in an affordable and also in a step-by-step manner. So again, that link is crowdcrux.com/coaching. Thank you so much. My name is Salvador Briggman. Stay tuned for our next episode. Dive in this week. Take some action, my friend. Move out there towards your goals and always maintain a positive mindset and be surrounding yourself with those right voices. Again, my name is Sal, and I will see you next time.